This is Hannibal and Piper here from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update. Lots of news related to this Miz getting eaten by zombies on the Backlash pay-per-view on the weekend. I guess even though he's supposedly been eaten alive, he's already done an interview with the New York Post saying that working with Bad Bunny at WrestleMania was, quote, not only was I happy about that match, I was ecstatic about that match. I don't know if he won or lost, but I hope for his sake he won to say he was ecstatic about the match. Miz also talked to Forbes and the Dallas News yesterday, so no kayfabe at all in WWE. He just gets eaten, then he's doing the media rounds a day or two later. Despite this, MVP came out and said the zombie eating the Miz is no different than the Undertaker doing a dead man gimmick. Well, one thing I can say is the Undertaker's gimmick was entertaining. I actually watched the Miz thing on YouTube because of all the talk about it, and it was extremely fake looking. The strikes looked fake. It was like slow motion, and of course they had the fake crowd noise, which absolutely drives me crazy. I don't know how anyone can watch WWE programming with the fake crowd noise. So in my opinion, it is different than The Undertaker. The Undertaker, I guess they said he was dead at one point. I think at one Royal Rumble when they put him in the casket, and then he came back and fought another Undertaker at SummerSlam 94. That was definitely a crappy period for WWE. Mind you, they weren't hitting the all-time record lows for Raw in those days that they're hitting now. The ratings are actually worse for Raw now than they were back then. Some more news on Don Kernodle, who passed away. He did wrestle for WWE in 82 and 83. Mostly as an enhancement worker, and I guess he was a police officer in recent years. The Alamance County Sheriff's Office put out a statement about him saying he was one of the most kind and compassionate people many of us have ever encountered. He was more than just a coworker. He was a friend to everyone he met. And of course, supposedly his life ending was self-inflicted, but no news has come out on how he died beyond that. The Forest of Fear is coming back to the Hannibal TV very soon. Just had to point that out. That's pretty exciting for me to get Great North Wrestling matches back on the Hannibal TV. There's also an Amber Nova versus Selena De La Renta match that's already been recorded that I'm waiting to get, and it will be posted soon. Get into some of your questions. That's the news for now. If more comes out later, I'll let you know as I finish my vegetable protein drink here. I'm going to go down to my basement and work out after this because the gyms are closed here, and also I'm still on quarantine for 2 more days. I can be fined for leaving my house here in Canada because we're on full lockdown. The lockdown is actually worse right now than it's ever been, but I'll try not to go down that road. RDAB says professional wrestling is getting eaten alive. Stevie TV says the Taker spot was better than the zombies. The zombie stuff was absolute fake looking. There was no intensity to it. It looked fake. And hearing the crowd ooh and ah and background noise when there's no crowd is just horrible. Matt Jarrett, the World Pro Wrestling promoter over in the UK. Look them up on Facebook, checking in to say hello. There is going to be some Great North Wrestling talent in World Pro Wrestling over in Gloucestershire in the UK. They've already announced that the Blood Hunters come in there early next year. And from what I understand, Canadian champion Jeremy Prophet is in talks with them as well. So there might be some UK, there is going to be some UK The Hannibal TV content, because not only am I going to be covering some World Pro Wrestling events next year, I'm going to be doing some paranormal investigations while I'm over there. RDAB says The Undertaker related is professional. I don't quite understand that. Really don't understand that. Colonel Quayle liked my bunkhouse interview. I liked it too, other than the captain yapping so much in the background. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. Rumar says, what do I think WWE will look like when Vince is no longer around? It's only going to get more and more corporate as the years go by. NBC invested $1 billion into them. NBC is a very corporate company. They're on the stock market. They're not, people that expect the Attitude Era to come back is never going to happen. There's going to have to be another league that comes out and brings back that old school feel, but none of them are doing that. None of them are doing that. Rex is RIP to Don Cornotto. Matt Jarrett, there you go. He's talking about what I was just discussing. Hopefully the Blood Hunter will be in the UK soon. That'll be interesting to see. Very interesting to see, because I don't know if the UK really has anyone that wrestles his style. So that could be very interesting. By the way, speaking of the UK, I heard from a source that Davey Boy Smith Jr. is going to be starting in WWE very, very soon. Michael says, well-behaved zombies stay outside of the ring until the end of the match. This guy says they should have had some ex-WWE talent be the zombies. Irony of their dead careers. Well, Scotty 2 Hotty was one of them. And I haven't heard of Scotty doing anything for a long time. So there you go. Stevie TV, Batista's a better wrestler than actor. I've only seen him in one of the Marvel movies, and I'm not a fan of Marvel movies. I only watched it because I am a fan of Batista, and I actually like Batista. Constipated in Sin City. I don't know where that comment's coming from. I haven't even been to Vegas since the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion. I guess it was 2 years ago now because it was canceled last year. Conan or Cody, I don't really like talking about that company because they ended up being a really shitty company, to be perfectly honest with you. Tony says, being on the stock market is death. The board of directors can kill your product at any time. Any more UFO videos coming up, Mitch Miller? Well, I did one yesterday related to a U.S. military lieutenant saying that a couple of years ago, or not a couple of years ago, I forget. I think it was I'd have to go back and look, but there were military U.S. pilots seeing UFOs every day for 2 years off the coast of the Atlantic. There's lots of footage out there that the military has and lots of evidence that just hasn't been released yet. We're seeing it trickle out. There's going to be a report to the Senate from the Senate Intelligence Committee next month, going to different levels of the government related to more information on what they know about UFOs. So obviously some of that news is going to be leaked. So there's a lot more UFO stuff coming. But yeah, I have a UFO playlist. Just search the Hannibal TV UFOs. And some people seem to wonder why I do UFO videos. I'm very interested in this stuff because there's more and more evidence of this coming out, and this is pretty crazy stuff. There's something going on with UFOs in water. They're going underwater. They're being tracked by military submarines going at incredible speeds underwater as well. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world right now. And because we can't seem to be able to do anything about UFOs, it's a little concerning. So I'm very interested in it. I research it every day. But since this is a wrestling update, I'll get off of it. As this person mentioned, UFOs dropping in the water. They all go, almost all of them seem to be able to travel underwater, in the air, in space. So there's something going on underwater. I'm very interested to know. Big Fish talking about a UFO in Nova Scotia, Canada, which, by the way, here in Canada, you can't even cross provinces anymore the way the lockdowns are. I couldn't even go to Nova Scotia right now, let alone Quebec, which is 15 minutes away from my house. It's absolutely insane. They've only vaccinated about 3-ish% of the population here in Canada, and they're trying to blame the lack of vaccinations on the travelers. They're trying to redirect the blame of why we're so stuck in the dark ages of COVID to these people traveling, even though there's hardly anyone traveling. When I left to go to Texas, there was literally 15 people in the airport. I really don't think that's your issue. And by the way, I never had COVID and I'm fully vaccinated now, but I'm still subject to these ridiculous fines. John Stewart, how honest do you think the U.S. government will be about what they really know about unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is what they call UFOs? Well, you have to remember, some of this actually has to do with national security. They can't just come clean about everything because there is also a national security factor in it. And again, the Senate Intelligence Committee is not just releasing this report to the public. It's being released to different levels of government that might not be aware of this stuff. They want to collect more data on it. So they want to make people aware that these things are out there. So they shouldn't be shy to report it, because we want to know what these things are. Does the US government know, and probably other governments know, a lot more than they show? Yes, they do, but more and more is trickling out, and they've even admitted it. Luis Elizondo, who just appeared on 60 Minutes last weekend, has gone on the record saying practically nothing of the information the government has on UFOs has been public, and he actually was in charge of the US's UFO investigation unit before he went back into the public domain and left the military. So there's other videos out there. Big Fish says nobody's allowed in Prince Edward Island. No, you're only allowed in Prince Edward Island if you work there. Most people watching this do not know what Prince Edward Island is, because mostly Americans watch this channel. It's the smallest province in Canada, and our states are called provinces here. What about says is not agreeable to the vaccine thing? People need to storm the Capitol. Canadians don't question the news that much. There are some that do. Most will just believe whatever they said. As I said, before I left for Texas, so many people were telling me, the borders are closed. You'll never get across. Why even bother? Don't buy a flight. And then you're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks in the US, because that's what the news was reporting here in Canada, because the government doesn't want you to travel. So they feed the news these lies to spread. When I went to Texas, there was no issues. Anyways, it's not just the Prime Minister, Colonel Quayle. It's the equivalent of the governor of Ontario, this loser, Rob Ford. His brother was a drug addict. Real embarrassment. Doug Ford. He wants to close the entire Toronto airport. So, anyways, everyone's saying I'm getting sidetracked from wrestling. RDAB says 33% of the U.S. has been vaccinated compared to 3% of Canada. It's just weird because, and I better shut up about this, but in Texas, people still shake hands. You don't have to wear masks. Most places just say masks recommended. There's large gatherings allowed. I attended a 38,000 person baseball game there. You can go out to clubs, as people probably saw in the videos that I put out. When Lacey Von Erich and I went out, met tons of girls in Dallas, where we were having a lot of physical contact. And now you go from that to here, where you have practically no freedom at all. Efron says his world news comes from Great North Wrestling. Now he is actually a very good wrestler. Reminds me of Bad News Brown, aka Bad News Allen, and he has a lot of potential. He's wrestled for AEW, so definitely. Good luck to you. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news.